to take revenge on his cheating wife. In a panic, the woman shoved the man off the bed, only to find she was handcuffed to him. No matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't get release. When she calmed down, she tried to call the police, but her husband had already cut the phone line in advance. Frustrated, she picked up the gun, aimed it at the handcuffs, and fired a few shots, only to realize there were no bullets. Enraged, she tossed the gun under the bed. She dragged her husband into the walk-in closet and found a wedding dress. She decided to use it to drag her husband downstairs, and didn't notice the safe hidden behind the dress at all. The woman, barely over 90 pounds, struggled to drag her 140-pound husband to the stairs. Suddenly, she lost her footing. They both tumbled down together. To make matters worse, her phone, which had been left on the first floor, was already tossed into a flower vase by her husband, and it was totally wrecked. No. She had no choice but to drag her husband to the kitchen to find a knife to cut the hand, but the cabinets were completely empty. Her husband had already taken all the sharp objects out of the house. In the end, to her surprise, she found the car key. She dragged him to the garage, planning to drive him straight to the police station. But when she got in the car, she realized her husband had already drained the gas. He'd really left her with no way out. Just then, the man suddenly spoke, giving her a huge shock. Turned out, it's an audio recording her husband had made earlier.
I have to admit, I'm impressed you've made it this far. You should have knelt at my feet after everything I did for you. When I met you, you were nothing. A failed photographer with no money, no hope. My only regret is not being there to see the look in your face right now. When I couldn't just sit back and watch you live happily ever after with him. Happy anniversary, pumpkin.
After hearing these, the woman was completely speechless. She could only drag him back inside. She washed the blood off her face, trying to stay calm, but then she spotted the necklace her husband had given her. The more she stared at it, the angrier she got. She tried to rip it off, but no matter how hard she tried, it wouldn't budge. That's when something seemed to click in her mind. She ran to the basement only to find it was completely empty. Her husband had hidden all the tools. Once again, she felt totally defeated. She barely had the strength to drag the body back upstairs. Exhausted, she collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. Then, out of nowhere, there was a knock at the door. It was her affair. The blackie said he'd come because he'd gotten a text from her, but she hadn't.
Tom, I didn't send you a message.
Is he here?
Most of him.
She let Tom come inside. He was completely shocked. Just as the woman explained what had happened, a car appeared in the distance. Tom asked her to stay inside while he went out to check things out. A blonde guy got out of the car, claiming to be a plumber. Tom, hearing this, gave him 300 yuan, hoping to get rid of him. But just then, a bearded man got out of the car. Without saying a word, he plunged a knife into Tom's stomach, then kept stabbing him several more times. The bearded man kicked open the door and walked into the house with a knife in hand. The woman hid behind the wall, too scared to even breathe. The blonde guy was just as terrified. They had come here for money, not expecting to kill a man. The bearded man spotted a long trail of blood on the floor. His curiosity piqued. As he walked toward it, he noticed the safe in the room. Meanwhile, the woman had dragged the body outside to the warehouse and found a tool inside. She fixed her husband's hand on and then... The door was opened. The woman quickly covered herself with a cloth, but there was no time to hide the body. The blonde guy saw it and was instantly terrified. He rushed back inside to shout for the bearded man. The bearded man flipped the body over. Seeing the face, he cursed loudly because it was the man who had hired them. It turned out that the husband had feared his wife would run away after his death, so he hired the two men to keep an eye on her. The payment for their services was the diamonds in the safe, but now the employer was dead, and the woman had disappeared. The blonde guy tried to persuade the bearded man to run away, but the bearded man noticed a bloody footprint on the ground and was sure the woman hadn't gone far because she wasn't wearing any shoes. He walked out of the warehouse to search the woman. The woman, hidden beneath their feet, finally exhaled in relief. She wrapped the wedding dress around her feet, then rummaged through the warehouse until she found a can of gasoline. The woman was dragging the gasoline toward the garage when she heard the blonde guy coming out. She quickly lay down in the snow. Luckily, the snow was thick enough that he didn't notice her. Once he passed, she got back up and continued dragging the gasoline. It took a while, but she finally made it to the garage. As she was attaching the gas hose, the bearded man suddenly walked in. She quickly hid behind a tire. The bearded man didn't notice her as he looked down and then walked to the other side, ripping the gas hose off. At that moment, the woman, hidden under the car, watched him nervously. Then, unexpectedly, the bearded man crouched down and used his knife to pop the tires. Seeing this, the woman quickly backed away, but as soon as she stepped out of the garage, she ran straight into the blonde guy, who was dragging the body. With nowhere else to go, the woman opened the basement door. She peeked through the crack, watching the bearded man looking around. In the next second, their eyes met. Terrified, the woman turned and ran. As she climbed the stairs, she saw the blonde guy dragging the body again. In that critical moment, a car horn suddenly blared from outside. Both of the men rushed toward the sound. The woman finally let out a sigh of relief. It was her who had pressed the car key. Meanwhile, the bearded man quickly realized he had been tricked. He rushed to lock the basement door, then went back inside the house. When he saw the Blackie's shoes were gone, he was certain the woman was still inside. He thought of a place, the attic. When he walked into the attic, he immediately noticed something unusual. The woman was hiding under a white cloth. He approached and yanked it off, only to find a golf club cover. Just then, the woman appeared. He fell straight off the attic, crashing down. The woman seized the opportunity to search his pocket, finding the car keys. When the blonde guy arrived, he only found his friend lying on the ground, and he too was knocked out. The woman hurried outside, got into the car, and locked the door, but just as the car was about to start, the bearded man yanked her out of the car. The woman was kicked and got faint. When the woman woke up again, she found her handcuffed to her husband's again. The bearded man had managed to open the safe and demanded she give him the password. The woman knew if she gave him the code, she would be killed. She refused to speak. Seeing this, the bearded man wasted no time and grabbed a knife, preparing to sever her tendons. At that moment, the blonde guy couldn't stand it any longer. He didn't want to kill anyone. He unlocked the handcuffs and promised the woman if she told them the password, they would let her go. The woman, desperate, believed him. She told him the password was their wedding anniversary. The man opened the safe, but instead of diamonds, there was a saw inside, and on the saw, a message. It turned out this was her husband's final trump card. Only by killing her could they remove the necklace. Panicked, the woman begged the blonde guy to help her cut the necklace off, but the bearded man couldn't wait. Taking advantage of the blonde guy's moment of distraction, he grabbed the gun, punched him down, and pulled the trigger, only to find the gun was empty. The woman scrambled to grab a knife, but before she could, the bearded man knocked her down again. He was about to use the saw to cut her throat. The blonde guy rushed from behind and tackled the bearded man. In the struggle, the blonde guy was thrown into the wall, his head slamming into a coat rack.
This is all your fault.
The woman took the chance to escape, but in the chaos, she ran straight into a pillar. The man dragged the body to the car, but when he opened the door, he found the woman was gone. She was crawling toward the lake. The bearded man chased after her, grabbing her ankle and then stabbing downward with the knife, but it struck the ice instead. At the same time, he grabbed her by the neck. In the nick of time, the woman fought back with all her strength, yanked the knife from the ice, and stabbed it into the bearded man's shoulder. At that moment, the ice began to crack. The man's body fell into the lake, pulling the bearded man down with him. Just when she thought it was finally over, the bearded man grabbed her by the collar, and both of them fell into the freezing water. The bearded man held her tight, seemingly ready to drown them both, but the woman broke free, emerging from the ice. Lying on the cold surface of the lake, the first thing she did was remove her wedding ring and let it roll into the water.
Thank you for watching till the end. Creating videos isn't easy. If you enjoyed this one, feel free to give us a super thanks. We'll work hard to bring you more interesting videos.